Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So, the Galaxy Guide recently came out as of the posting of this video, and Paizo sent me a free review copy. They didn't pay me in any other way, but I wanted to be upfront with you guys, and of course, thank you to Paizo. Now, I want to dive into the Galaxy Guide because it's full of a lot of cool stuff, but before I do, elephant in the room time. The Galaxy Guide is coming out before Starfinder 2 Player Core comes out. That is, the core rulebook for Starfinder. I'm still baffled by this decision. I'm sure it made sense to someone somewhere, but that someone isn't me. So, no, you didn't miss it. The core rulebook for Starfinder 2E doesn't come out until August of 2025. But here we are with the Galaxy Guide for that new game system. Anyway, let's move on. First off, I kind of want to gush over this new concept map of the Starfinder Galaxy. By the way, the Starfinder Galaxy is called Desna's Path. This is just a cool picture, and it kind of shows everything in a very interesting way. A lot of the art in the book is just fantastic, so I wanted to highlight it. Now, the book is largely divided into 4 sections, and let me tell you, I have not seen such an efficient use of space in a long time. This book is chock full of stuff, and I could not possibly cover it all in one video. So this is just going to have to be a quick summary of almost all the sections. There's simply too much for me to cover everything, so I'm going to have to leave the ancestries section for another video. Unfortunately, this is just a busy time of year for me, so the Galaxy Guide Ancestries video will have to come out later, hopefully within a month. One last thing before we get started, I'm going to talk about a lot of Starfinder lore in this video. If you need some reminders about Starfinder lore, go check out my 5-part Starfinder Primer series. Most of the Starfinder lore stuff in this video is explained in that series. Anyway, let's dive in. The first major chapter is called Adventures, and it's all about the places you can visit in Starfinder. This chapter is divided up not by physical location, but by theme. So instead of having, say, a Packed World section or a Vescarium section, there's a section all about how you can have a dystopian-style game or a horror-style game, that kind of thing. Each section has a selection of various different locales that would fit a theme, including ideas for adventure hooks, some NPCs, hotspots to visit, that sort of thing. I'm going to quickly go over each section, but know that there's a lot more that I am not covering in these sections. The first section is actually in the front matter, and it talks about how the Pluto of the Starfinder universe called Acturn recently exploded. It turns out it's an egg from some sort of cosmic space horror thing, and the book describes how to run a game centered around that event. But the book then moves on to the dystopian section. Locales here include Akiton, which is that John Carter of Mars planet, and the Diaspora. I've talked about the Diaspora before, but it's basically an asteroid belt that used to be a planet and then it blew up. Some say the neighboring planet of Eox blew it up, but no one knows for sure. Anyway, surprisingly, the citizens of that planet managed to survive and adapt to the void of space, and that will be important for one of the ancestries later on in the book. I know, that's not how biological adaptation works, but this is a science fantasy series, so I'm willing to suspend disbelief. Next up is the high-tech section, though it should be more appropriately called the ancient tech section. This part of the book is all about ancient civilizations that had tech beyond mortal ken, and then going on to explore that technology. Now, they kinda double-dipped here because 2 of the 3 things on offer are related to the first ones. The first ones were super powerful, technologically advanced aliens from long ago who all seem to have disappeared, and they have advanced tech that lets them, say, put a city in the center of the sun. There's also a section on Abalon, which is basically the planet Mercury, which was built by sentient robots who were originally built by the first ones. Or, built by robots who were built by robots who were built by robots who were built by the first ones. You get it. The next section is about fantasy campaigns for people who want more magic in their techno-magic. There's a section on Castrovel, where elves originally came from. Quick reminder, elves are space aliens in both Pathfinder and Starfinder. Another section is on Triaxis, which is a world that has a lot of dragons, and a dragon-like ancestry called Dragonkin. Also want to call out Tabrid Minor, which is a world inhabited by people made of animate coral, and they have weird gravity powers, so that's cool. The next section is about war-torn worlds, or ways to do campaigns about full-blown interstellar wars. The Aslanti Star Empire has a section here, as they are basically space Nazis. The Veskarium has a section, and there's even a small section about the Getaron Authority, which is basically an evil hobgoblin star empire? Actually, I think it's technically a stratocracy. Oh, also this section has information about the Swarm, who are basically the bug aliens from Starship Troopers. The Into the Unknown section has information about exploring and finding new worlds. The big interesting bit here is that the Jinsul are in this section. They are a theocracy of spider-like zealots who are really, really nasty, and were only recently unleashed on the galaxy when the Starfinder Society accidentally woke them up back in Starfinder 1st Edition. But there are other non-Jinsul ideas in this section, such as a region of space that's hard to navigate called Cosmerg's Absurdity. Horror Adventures are up next, and of course the planet of undead Eox is on the list. Like I said earlier, the unconfirmed theory in-universe is that Eox blew up that planet that became the Diaspora, but in so doing, accidentally destroyed their own atmosphere, and so the population had to convert themselves to undead to survive because undead don't breathe. Strangely, Callistocrats are in this section. Callistocrats are essentially a philosophy religion of super capitalists and they're real jerks. The last part of this section is called the Riven Shroud, and it has to do with the Algulthu, who are cosmic space horror fish monsters, so that's fun. Lastly, there is Weird Adventures, and by weird I mean giant cities situated inside a colony of living hive mind jellyfish creatures on a gas giant, so yeah, pretty weird. This is Bretheda, a gas giant that Brethedans, those jellyfish creatures, come from. Swing Ripper played one in our Starfinder one-shot, so go check it out, link in the description below. Another option in this section is Lyavara, another gas giant with Brethedans, but this time they are all in some sort of psychic dream prophecy state, and it's hard to summarize it quickly. Another weird adventure is Salvation's End, a hollow moon that is full of a bunch of giant rooms that simulate random scenarios generated by an AI with no rhyme or reason. One Starfinder 1E society scenario had an entire town populated by clones of one terrible pun-loving human named Joro. Fun story, I actually made a Joro character in Starfinder Society 1st Edition. Okay, that was a lot, so I'm going to speedrun the next chapter called Ports of Call. Each section here is about a major city in Starfinder. Not every major city is listed, just a few that would make good campaigns. And like with the Adventures chapter, each port of call has a section about how to make a campaign out of that settlement. There's Absalom Station, which is that big station at the economic heart of the galaxy. The Idari, which is a failed Kasathan colony ship turned home base for the Kasatha. The second city is a massive city on a world that's on the edge of that absurdity place that is hard to visit. I honestly don't know too much about the second city. Finally, Starlines is the major spaceport on Polonus, that planet that has the cat people known as Patra. It has a high-speed space elevator system, so that's cool. Oh, and at the end of this section are an absolute ton of backgrounds. I counted 65, but I may have miscounted. Oh, Joro clone is a background. Neat! Next up are Factions of the Galaxy, and I'm going to speedrun this section too. Basically, this chapter has several factions that players can belong to. That's why the Aslanti or the Swarm weren't in this chapter. While they are factions of the galaxy, it's generally assumed players can't play as part of them. Oh, and the sections that are in this chapter all have an archetype related to them, making these the first official archetypes in Starfinder 2e. Abdar Corp is the progression of the Church of Abdar. See, Abdar is the god of laws, trade, and commerce, so it makes sense that he has a corporation dedicated to him. You can grab the archetype, Abdar Corp Rep, as early as level 2, and it lets you use corporate-based skills in combat. Like you can use corporate doublespeak to hide messages that others don't pick up on. The Free Captains are a group of space pirates mostly situated around the Diaspora. Basically, the only thing that makes them a faction is that they have all agreed not to attack each other, but other than that, they're just people living their life by being free and flying wherever they want, and, enslaving and press-ganging people's souls. That's one thing you can do with the archetype, which you can get as early as level 2. The archetype also makes you better at intimidation as you are a notorious space pirate. The Hell Knights originated in Pathfinder's Galarian, but they made the transition to Starfinder. They are a group of people who want to impose law and order on the galaxy by any means necessary. Sorry, did I say law and order? I meant their law and order. They do not care about your puny local laws. They are legalistic like the Devils of the Hells, who they also summon to help them out occasionally. There are sub-factions that all focus on different specific goals, and their archetype, which requires you to be level 6, gives you a bunch of devil-themed powers. The Knights of Galarian are kind of the opposite of the Hell Knights. They are good guy knights trying to do the best that they can. They kind of have two missions. First is to do good guy stuff, root out corruption, fight tyranny, that sort of thing. The second is to preserve the culture of Lost Galarian, though anyone is welcome to join the Knights, not just Galarian races. Also, you can grab the archetype as early as level 2, and it kinda makes you a Holy Spirit warrior, allowing you to do Holy Spirit damage with strikes or spells. I've done a whole video about the Starfinder Society already, so there's not much to say about them here. They're a group of xenoarchaeologist explorers that are trying to unravel the mysteries of the galaxy. Their kinda main focus is the Gap, but they cannot turn down a good mystery no matter where it comes from. Their archetype, Xenoarchaeologist, which you can grab at level 2, makes you better at a bunch of different skills for delving into trap-filled ruins. Finally, there is a section on Xenowardens, who are conservationists that travel on huge, living, biological starships. Their big thing is to maintain the sanctity of nature on as many planets as possible, and they tend to be made up of spellcasters and biological scientists. Their archetype is Xenodruid, which you can get as early as level 4. It involves forming a bond with a planet to see how the planet's doing. Strangely, I think this is the first archetype that outright requires you to be a certain class to get it, as you have to have the Mystic's Mystic Bond feature to get this class. This means, oddly enough, a Pathfinder Druid can't become a Xenodruid. I don't know, seems silly. And I think the Xenodruid would have been better if it was a Mystic class archetype instead of a normal archetype that requires Mystic. The last section of this chapter gives a very brief rundown of some of the other factions, anything from the Aspis Consortium to the Zoe Media Conglomerate. Now, like I said earlier, there are 6 new ancestries in the book: Astrozoans, Contemplatives, Dragonkin, Kalo, Sarcesian, and Vlaka, and I will do a video about them sometime in the future when I have more time. Hopefully within a month, so stay tuned. But that will about do it for this week's video. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe. That lets me, as well as YouTube, know that you like this kind of content and you would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!